first OpenJ9 community call of the new year. Just a reminder to everyone that as we joined, please add your name and affiliation to the attendee list so we have a vague idea of who's been joining the calls, and know if there's anybody that we need to follow up with, and some idea of people that items have been assigned to. So I will pause for a moment here. We have our agenda laid out before us. There's no lightning talk scheduled this week, but I will pause here to give people an opportunity to bring up anything they want to add to the agenda. If you're not ready to jump in now, there's also the any other business section at the end that you can tag things in. So, do feel free to do that throughout the call. If someone does have a lightning talk that they'd like to give, reach out to me. We can get that scheduled in the upcoming weeks. So we'll take a look at the user-raised issues, and we'll see which ones have come in the last little bit. There's probably more than a week's worth that we need to take a look at given the holidays. Though when I do look here, I see that almost everything here has some comments or some discussion going on, which is a good sign that there's been some progress there. Is there anything in this particular list that needs some discussion here, or anyone thinks needs some further focus? All right, given the silence and the fact that everything here seems to have some level of discussion, I will back to the agenda. The usual reminder around help wanted issues. Please, when you're running through code or you're looking at stuff and you find something minor, open it as a help wanted issue or tag it as a beginner issue as a good onboarding into the project. I know as we get closer to a release, there may be beginner or help wanted issues that we want to get closed out either way, whether somebody new has been able to jump on them, but they are good to try to leave them sit for a little bit when possible. So let's take a look at the download stats. If we take a look at just the OpenJ9 download stats, we see a nice jump sort of the start of the year as people came back to work. That would be my guess. There was also the milestone 2 builds that were tweeted about recently, which probably would have helped that as well. Now, if we take a look at the hotspot trend, we see a similar jump for them around the same time frame. So I would expect that this is either people coming back to work and grabbing a new VM, or building new Docker containers and pulling things. Does anyone have any observations or comments around the download trends? All right, then we'll jump back to the agenda. And we will take a look at the 0.24 release, which is coming up very shortly. So I'll open up the release plan. And I see there's the usual reminder about the OpenSSL version that we track and move forward as the release completes. So no concerns with that. Actually, I should pause here and say, Pete, have you been checking for new OpenSSL versions?
Yeah, we're at the latest version.
Perfect. And then an issue around.
We have a job that does it, I think. So we get pinged when there's a new one.
Okay. Does that ping land in Slack, or is it?
Yeah, but I think it's internal. Could probably move it outside if we wanted it.
Depending on how much resources it takes, moving outside might be the right choice.
Yeah.
And then there's a issue here about updating the build instructions. See, there's a draft PR for that as well. So nothing here looks like it should be blocking the release, which is great. A big thank you to everybody who's been involved in closing out the items and getting us prepped and prepared for this. I haven't seen any feedback on the Milestone 2 builds, either on Slack or on Twitter or in the issues. Are there any issues with the Milestone 2 builds that anyone is aware of? All right, it sounds like those builds are in pretty good shape then, and we should be looking at a very smooth GA release then, which is a great position to be in. If there are issues that come up in the testing of the Milestone 2 builds or get raised, please do flag those immediately so that we get people to address them as quickly as possible. And that brings us, of course, to the next release after our 0.24 release, the quarterly update at the end of January. We are fast approaching the code split for the Java 16 release. Tentatively right now, that code split is targeted to the end of this month. So if we take a look at the release plan here, we have 72 open items. Some of these are minor items for our project. Some of them are the C++ features. It's mostly a tracking item. Some of these are probably larger amounts of work. So I don't think it makes sense to go through this entire list on the call today, but it is a reminder to everyone that this is the list we need to be burning down for the end of this month. So if there are particular issues in here that need extra attention, please do call them out. This is our dates as of right now leading up to the March 16 GA. So I know there's a lot of work in that plan, and we need some time to get those items either merged in or deferred out of the release. So please be paying attention to that as we move towards that January 31 code split. Then we'll move to our general updates. Do we have an update from the Adopt team today? I don't see any of our usual Adopt folks on the call, so we may skip over this for today. Adam, is there an update in terms of the infrastructure?
Yeah, so we split for 16 before Christmas, so that's all complete now. And the OpenSSL I rollout for Windows was just completed this week by Joe. So that's complete now. The first two issues are still, one is sort of a monitor and one is a to-do once we have some time. No issues that I know of, unless Pete has any comments.
Just that Windows failure to delete workspace problem is still occurring, so it blocked the OMR acceptance build again this morning.
All right, so we should prioritize that then.
I suspect it's the first one on the list, the 10834.
Yep.
So that's happening on more than just the one machine? Or is that particular machine?
Didn't check if it was a certain machine.
I think it's a Windows issue in general.
All the machines are supposed to be identical.
agreed, that doesn't always mean that we don't get these odd machine-specific issues. All right, yeah, so this is already the cleanup issue. Any other infrastructure conversation?
Nothing from me.
Then we'll jump down to the any other business section. As we look at the support for OpenJDK method handles, Navneet, I just want to check to see if we're still on track for this to be switched on for JDK 16.
I think we will have to do an evaluation. The first scrum is tomorrow. I will have a discussion on this question tomorrow, and I will provide an update in next week's community call if we will be able to meet the JDK 16 targets.
All right, thanks, Babneet. Do reach out if there's things that you need from me.
Yes.
I know I've been reviewing a number of these PRs, so ping me and make sure I'm aware when any changes do get pushed.
Yes.
Then the next item is the CMake migration. Checking if Devin's on the call. Don't see him. There are a couple of things that I've highlighted in this list as well, just to validate that we've closed them out. I know for Java 11, the remaining platform had only been ZOS, and Devin had mentioned that there were pull requests open to address those issues. Does anyone have an update on the status of that? All right, I'll have to circle back to Devin offline, because there's similar questions there around whether we'll make the target for JDK 16. Marius, is there an update on the Helm and operator discussions? I see that you're off mute, Marius, but I can't hear you. Maybe an issue with the sound issues there. So, Marius, if there is any update there, if you want to just tack it into the agenda, in particular, if there's a target date that we can get filled in, that would be great. In terms of the microjit, just a reminder that the next meeting for this is January 14th.
Can you hear me now, Dan?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I had to restart the whole thing. So Chris is looking currently into hosting the binary for the Helm chart into the Artifactory. So previously he suggested using GitHub, and I understand that GitHub has a raw view and can be accessed through raw GitHub usercontent.com. But maybe Artifactory is a better option. So this is, I think Chris is on the call. I've seen him have his name. Chris?
Yes, I'm on the call
Can
here.
you provide more?
Can you guys hear me?
Can you provide more information on this effort?
Yes, for sure. So basically, we are looking to store the binary Helm charts to in a Helm repo, and then the Helm repo can be on GitHub or Artifactory. So I'm just looking into both directions. I might need some help from Adam, but and then to get all of those working. But yep, I'm actually opening an infra issue right now, and then hopefully we can get more discussion on how to host Helm charts in Artifactory.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. Yeah.
Is there a particular target date that we're working towards? Do we want this chart to be available at the same time as the JDK 16 release, or are we looking to have that?
Yeah, that would be very
coincide?
nice. I don't think we should necessarily link them, but that would be very nice. So that's our target.
A reminder of the microchip meeting coming up on January 14th. Marius, the CANOSP project.
The Canos project. So yeah, the students have finished their semester. The PR, it's still not in a state where I am comfortable merging it. But at least one of the students expressed his interest to continue working this even after the semester is over. So I hope that this student, and maybe others as well, will push it to a state where I can merge it. And then we can ourselves, we can take it from there. We don't have to rely on them. At the moment, I'm still waiting for some contributions.
Okay. For the next item on the agenda, we have the compressed and default combined builds. We had originally said JDK 16 was the likely target for this. Just looking to see if Lan or Sharon is on the call, and I don't see either of them. This is another area where we're going to have to make a determination on whether 16 is a feasible target for this or not. Another area where we'll have to follow up either on the next call or through GitHub. And then the final item on our list here was that the GitHub actions for the OMR linter tool. Daryl had agreed to have somebody take a look at this. So, not sure if there's any update on that. And I don't see Daryl on the call either, so it's another one that we'll have to follow up with. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda as written here. Is there anything else people would like to bring up today? All right, then hopefully we continue to have a smooth transition towards the 0.24 release towards the end of this month, and a continued focus on burning down the 0.25 milestone plan. Thanks everybody, and let's have another great OpenJ9 based new year. Thank you. Chat again next week then, I guess.
Yep. Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.